All right, guys, so now we're going to go over some rebuttals that you're going to get during the EAP process. Okay, so there's a few. Most common: banking, social, need to talk to spouse about it, and think. Okay, so why don't you go over banking?
Okay, so with banking, the most important thing is when you do get the objection for it, just agree with them and move on past it. So, I must have confused you. I'm not actually asking for your debit card information. That you actually don't want to be giving out. What I'm asking for is the routing number and the account number that's on the bottom of your check that you pass around. So who do you bank with, John? And then another one is also, unfortunately, there is a lot of money laundering in life insurance. So while they check your medical records, they're also going to check to see that you have a valid U.S. checking account. Nothing is coming out of your account today, so you're not committing it to anything right away.
Yep, so that's the biggest thing is I love the one where, hey, it's at the bottom of your check that you pass around. Ask them, hey, do you write checks? Okay, great. Well, that information is actually on the bottom, so that's meant to be passed around. What's not meant to be passed around is your debit card information. And a lot of times you'll be able to overcome that objection. If they still give you some pushback, you can use the money laundering and life insurance, because that is really a true statement, actually. And then you can also go back to, your producer page that you sent them that has your license number. It's like, hey, I've already sent you all this information. I'm a licensed broker with this state. I could lose my job if your information gets out at all. And I sometimes say too, like, hey, yeah, it is weird doing all of this, over the phone. COVID really has changed times now. You refinance your house over the phone these days. So you always want to agree with them and kind of, again, shift them into where you want them to go. Want to go over social?
All right. So another objection that you guys will get is on the social. And so normally, as long as you preface it the way, that we've detailed in some of the earlier videos, you really won't get it often. But when you do, how you're going to handle it is, all right, John, so I completely understand. It's still a little weird or kind of different to me doing everything over the phone because of COVID. We used to go in home and take care of clients, but now everything has gone virtually. So I'm actually going to send you an email that I need to verify that you are who you say you are, so I can guarantee that all of this is secure. So what was that social? Right? Another way that you can go about it is, just relate it to something. So just like you apply for car insurance, John, they run your driver's license, your medical records are attached to your social, and that's how the insurance company decides to give you coverage or not. Right? So you're basically letting them know why it's needed. So pretty much when it comes to that, when you do get that pushback, if as long as your credibility is solid, as long as you preface it the right way, most of the time you're not going to get it. But when you do, that's going to be how you deal with that. Either, you let them know, hey, for me, I always say, I used to go door to door, John, right? I used to go and visit people, but ever since COVID, it's for safety purposes, they have us doing it all over the phone. So it's much safer for you that way. And then, you can always send them back to your verified producer page or just bring it back up again. Hey, I sent you that verified producer link so that way you could verify who I was, because I want you to feel comfortable with me as your representative moving forward, John. So that's kind of how you handle social.
And then another one too is need to talk to spouse or thinking. Okay. So I love this rebuttal because it's pretty easy to overcome if you do it right. Okay. Now most companies, they have a 30-day free look period. Okay, so pretty much what that means is the client can cancel a policy, get their money back, or adjust coverage, raise or lower it. Now, you never want to say, hey, you have 30 days to cancel your policy if you don't want it. Never. Okay, that's just setting yourself up for a chargeback. Okay, so when you give them the three options and they say, hey, I need to talk to my spouse, relate to them. You know what? Of course, John. That's of course what you need to do, which everybody wants to do that as well. So what most people in your situation do is let's just start you off with the starter program to see that you can qualify for coverage so that you have something to go talk to your spouse about. And they actually have a 30-day free look period. So if you go and talk to your spouse and you guys want to raise coverage, you actually can do that without having to reapply. Okay, so what that does is it's letting them know, it's taking away, we don't even know if you can get approved for coverage, okay? So we want to make sure that you can actually get approved so that there's something to go talk to your spouse about. And you can say, because John, if you get denied from every company, there's nothing to go talk to your spouse about. Again, life insurance isn't something you can just buy. You do have to qualify for it, okay? And it's similar to the thinking. Of course you want to think about it. A lot of people do. So let's just start off with the lower program, get your coverage locked in so that if something happens to you during that time, you're covered, because accidents happen every day and you don't know what waiting a week or a month is going to do. And I use this too on if they say, I need to review my finances, I need to see what's comfortable for me. Go with the lowest program. Like, hey, you said that this amount is comfortable for you, so let's get you locked in at that. And sometimes, honestly, I'll even lower it a little bit if they're unsure about that, where they say, you know what, I need to check my finances to see if I can even afford that. Okay, John, no problem. So what, let's actually do is let's lower it a little bit. Is this amount more comfortable for you? It's something that that you can commit to. Because let's be honest, you guys, like, people know, if you ask me if I could afford a certain amount per month,
$50, $60, it's like, come on.
You know what their budget is, right? So a lot of times that's just a defense mechanism and an excuse to get off the phone that they don't want to get anything. So don't get, distracted by that if they keep telling you that they need to think about it or they need to check their budget. Just go back to, okay, well, you told me you could afford this amount, and so is this comfortable? If not, no problem, we can lower it. Because sometimes people are ashamed too of, if they can't afford something, they feel uncomfortable saying, hey, I can't afford this.
Yes, and it's important that you don't leave it open-ended in the sense that, for instance, if someone says, I need to think about it, I'm not sure if this fits in my budget, and you kind of leave it open-ended as to where that is. So, like, you want to use a lot of terminology that kind of directs traffic, if you will. So what we're going to do then is, John, what we'll do is, okay, not can we do this or is that okay with you, John? No. What we're going to do, John, is we're going to go ahead and start you off with the lower program. The cool thing about it is if they approve you for this one, they actually approve you for the other ones too. So if you want to go ahead and raise up to those later, you can, right? Another thing too, when people saying, I want to think about it, it's important to make sure they understand the process. Life insurance isn't something you can just buy. We say that throughout the entire course, right? And it's important for them to understand that before you can think about anything, before there's anything for you to consider or chew on or talk to your spouse about, the company has to think about it and take you first, right? So that's the first step. That's important to make sure that they understand that.
That was really good. So those are the most common ones that you guys are going to get. There's going to be some that come up. If you have any other objections that you're stumbling upon, go ahead, reach out to your manager, one of us, for help. Hope this helps, guys. Have a good day.